Maybe it's time for a showdown between the Vietnam veteran and the draft dodger.
Do you actually mean a physical confrontation, or?
No, but if he wants it, he's in the Hall of Fame. Let's both get in the ring.
I mean, there is a UFC.
After all, he's in the Hall of he's in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Right. I mean, there is
even though he's never ever had a match.
Right. There is a UFC whole event going on imminently at the White House. Maybe they could extend it and have you against Trump.
Do you think he'd have the guts to do that? Are you kidding me? Oh, yeah, right. You ever hear of a blade job? Anyway.
A blade? What, you think he was fake?
Anyway, I don't know. Where's his scar today?
Somebody died literally sitting behind him.
What happens when a former Navy SEAL, Vietnam veteran, professional wrestler, and governor decides he's done holding back? Jesse Ventura just walked onto Piers Morgan's show and launched one of his most explosive attacks on Donald Trump yet. From accusing Trump of starting wars other people's children must fight, to challenging him to step inside the ring, Ventura turned this interview into a full-scale confrontation. But the moment that truly stunned Piers came when Jesse questioned the official story surrounding Trump's shooting, and Piers immediately pushed back. This wasn't a calm political discussion. It was raw, personal, and increasingly hostile. Let's get into it.
Okay, look, it's one argument that Trump should serve. That's a perfectly reasonable argument to make. A lot of people feel that way. But it doesn't change what's going on in Iran. What is your view of this war? Do you think it's a legitimate war? Many people think that the Iranian regime has been the instrument of terror through the Middle East for 40 years.
Of course they have been. Of course they have been, Piers. But wait a minute. Trump then calls you guys NATO cowards. Wait a minute. NATO is set up to protect. That means that if a NATO country is attacked, they will all join together to repel it. It doesn't go in reverse. It doesn't mean if one of the NATO countries starts a war that all the others have to join in. That ain't part of the deal. The deal is protection, not aggression. And we started this war, and then he's calling you guys a bunch of cowards because you won't come in and help him. Well, why didn't he talk to you beforehand? And second of all, that isn't what the mission is. The mission is to protect the countries if they're attacked, not to go on the offense and do the attacking.
Okay, but do you think America was justified in joining Israel in the attack on Iran?
No.
Why
Absolutely not. Because we started the war. I'm not for starting any war. We fired the first shot. Plain and simple. You want to put it in Rambo terms? We drew first blood.
Many would argue, of those who support the war, that Iran had drawn a lot of blood through this regime for a very long time. They had supported and propped up. Well, hang on, Jesse. They had armed groups like Hamas and the Houthis and Hezbollah for decades. They had wreaked utter havoc, drawing enormous amounts of blood, and that actually the reason America and Israel had to deal with them now was that they were imminently going to get a nuclear weapon and may well use it. What do you say to that?
Well, here's what I say. Let's get the real history in. You know, I listen to people like Congressman Lawler in New York. They all love to go back to 1979, the day the Ayatollahs took over. They conveniently don't go back to when I was alive. I'm a little older than them. Let's go back to 1953, shall we? When Iran had a Democratic elected president, the United States didn't like him. We pulled a coup d'etat, and what did we do? We stuck the authoritarian dictator, the Shah, in power. That's when the I Hate America started, was way back in the 50s when we interfered in their democratic elections. But how convenient we are that we forget that. Then in 1979, what took place? The Ayatollahs took over, who were probably worse than the Shah. But let's remember, the hatred of America was started by America. It was not started by the Iranians. We interfered in their government way back in the 50s and overturned their democratic elected president, and then the dictatorship started with the Shah and now went to the Ayatollahs, and here we are today. But I'd like for Congressman Lawler to at least try to go back in history from before he was born to see what could have occurred, and that the United States was the person that caused the hatred between the two countries.
You know, Jesse, I know you're very scathing of Trump now. There was a time when you were on more friendly terms. Here's a clip from you both at WrestleMania 20.
You know what? I think that we may need a wrestler in the White House in 2008.
When you look at that, Jesse, I mean, that was, what, 12, 13 years ago, I think. Trump has also been made a WWE Hall of Famer, which I know has angered you.
Yep.
How do you feel now looking back at that clip?
I feel that simply I was doing my job. I was doing what I was asked to do at the WWE. Trump being a Hall of Famer is a tragedy. This guy has never been in the ring. I got a good friend, Ken Patera, Olympian. First man to overhead press 500 pounds. 25 years in the wrestling business. Kenny Patera is not in the Hall of Fame. Donald Trump does not belong in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. He never earned it. You know what I had to do to get in the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame? At one point in my career, I wrestled 63 consecutive nights in a row. That's how you get in the Hall of Fame. When I was referring to putting a wrestler in the White House, I was talking about me, not him.
Really? That was a bit ambiguous.
Yeah, absolutely. I was the former governor of Minnesota. I'm the only real former wrestler. I don't include him. He's only in the Hall of Fame because he stopped an investigation against Vince McMahon, sexual stuff.
Do you intend to run again for governor and therefore maybe president?
I don't necessarily intend to run again, but I'm working on something that could send me straight to Washington and go face to face with this guy.
Really? Well, you would run for president?
Plans may be in the works.
I mean, he can't run for president again, so what would that involve?
Well, you'll have to find out, wait and see. I'm not going to spill it here.
You're not going to crash
But I'll put it to you this way. Wait. Piers, I'll put it to you this way. We withstood the onslaught of the Gestapo in Minnesota. Well, I was taught in war to do this. You ensure that your backyard is secure. That's the first thing you do. Well, Minnesota's now secure. We've repelled the onslaught from Trump. Now it's time for us to go on the offense. So maybe it's time to send the Navy SEAL to Washington. Maybe it's time for a showdown between the Vietnam veteran and the draft dodger.
Do you actually mean a physical confrontation, or?
No, but if he wants it, he's in the Hall of Fame. Let's both get in the ring.
I mean, there is a UFC.
After all, he's in the Hall of he's in the Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Right. I mean, there is
even though he's never ever had a match.
Right. There is a UFC whole event going on imminently at the White House. Maybe they could extend it and have you against Trump.
Do you think he'd have the guts to do that? Are you kidding me?
Well, when he got shot, Jesse, to be fair to Trump,
wait a minute, Piers.
To be fair to Trump, when he got shot,
I'm going to tell you.
When he got shot, he got back up and said, fight.
Oh, yeah, right. You ever hear of a blade job? Anyway.
A blade? What, you think he was fake?
Anyway, I don't know. Where's his scar today?
Somebody died literally sitting behind him.
I don't know. You know, come on, Piers. You're going to tell me this guy's a big hero now?
I thought that day he was.
That's what you're going to tell me?
That day he was.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, well, then he accomplished what he wanted out of you guys.
No, I think you can be heroic on one day and you can be less heroic on others. But if you ask me, was he heroic
Sure.
when he got shot? Yeah, and I think those who try to
Yeah,
pretend
yeah,
he
you're
wasn't actually
right.
shot or anything, it's ridiculous.
You're right. You know what I feel bad about was that if he'd have joined us in Vietnam, we might have won, huh?
No.
He could have put us. Why did he run and hide when he could have joined us and led us to victory?
I don't think anything would have changed the fortunes of the United States in that war.
Yeah, probably not, considered he called us all suckers, didn't he?
What would you say to Trump if you had a chance to speak to him?
I'd prefer not to speak with him. I don't have really. What would I say to him?
I don't know.
You know, he's. To me, he has no courage. He never has. I'll tell you what he is, Piers. Everybody knows these people. You're with a group of guys, and there's always one guy who will start the fight and then hold your coat. That's Donald Trump. He'll start the fight, but he'll hold your coat, and then the next day he'll tell everybody how tough he was.
What made this exchange so explosive wasn't just Jesse Ventura's anger. It was the contrast he drew between his own military service and Trump's record. Ventura's strongest argument was that leaders who send others into war should be willing to make the same sacrifice themselves. But when he questioned Trump's shooting, he moved from sharp political criticism into speculation, allowing Piers to push back and regain control. Even so, Ventura's final point landed hard. In his view, Trump is someone who starts the fight, lets others take the risks, and then claims the glory. Agree with him or not, Jesse made one thing clear: he has absolutely no intention of backing down.